This will be a quick video, but I wanted to share something important. In a previous video, an Australian viewer left a comment asking, wait, Canada has trade barriers between provinces? Yeah, we do. Or at least we did. I just came across a new report showing that Canada might finally be moving in the right direction on this. And with the current political climate, it couldn't come at a better time. Quick note before we dive in. The backdrop today is Grouse Mountain in North Vancouver, skiing and snowboarding in winter, hiking and trail walking in summer. You can even hike it from the base. We call that the Grouse Grind. I did it once. Took me 50 minutes. And I nearly died at the top. Never again. Alright, here's what's in the report.
It's the trade barrier that frustrates so many. It's easier to buy wine and beer from outside the country than from one province to the next. Canadian brewers would love to see that change.
They absolutely would benefit from removing some of these interprovincial trade barriers.
Provinces are finally working with each other to take down barriers. In Canada, there are different standards for washing machines, redundant licensing requirements for laborers, even different wide load signs required in some provinces.
This is actually great news if you ask me. I've always found it ridiculous that it's easier to buy some mass-produced American beer than it is to get a decent craft brew from the next province over. Same goes for wine. You can walk into a liquor store and find bottles from California, but try asking for something from a local winery 2 provinces away or farther east, and you'll probably get a blank stare or a nope, not available here. That's because for years, Canada has had these outdated interprovincial trade barriers, making it a headache to move alcohol across provincial lines. It made no sense, and it punished our own producers while giving foreign brands easier access. So yeah, if there's movement to finally break down those walls, I'm all for it.
Every year, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business looks at how governments are doing on internal trade. Its latest report card, Nova Scotia gets an A. It's done more to accept professional credentials and business licenses from other provinces. Ontario also gets an A for eliminating exceptions like business regulations. Overall, British Columbia gets a B+, Alberta a B, and Quebec gets a C- because it retains the most free trade exceptions from its language requirements to its building codes. Though all in all, provinces are making strides.
We've seen really positive progress this year.
Ryan Mallow says provinces are finally taking concrete steps, but their approaches could still impede internal trade.
We've got 7 jurisdictions taking on mutual recognition legislation. That's fantastic. But it's also 7 different approaches, and there's a threat of a real patchwork that could just confuse the situation going forward.
Look, I'm not an expert in interprovincial negotiations, trade agreements, or political backroom deals. Far from it. But I do know one thing. If there was ever a time for our provincial and federal governments to stop dragging their feet and actually work together, it's now. Yeah, it'll be a fight. Some provinces are stubborn as hell. Yes, looking at you, Danielle. But if this country wants to hold on to every dollar it can, especially with US tariffs and US tourism drops already affecting us, then we don't have time for ego or old grudges. The US is pulling away. They're slapping on tariffs. Their tourists are staying home. That money? It's not coming back anytime soon. So if we're serious about protecting Canadian businesses, we need to make it easier to move goods, especially alcohol, within our own damn country. That means dropping the bullshit between provinces.
As for Ottawa, Bill C-5 that just passed removes federal barriers to internal trade and labor mobility. But the federal government only gets a B from the CFIB, in part because of uncertainty over how it will work. For example, eliminating obstacles between federal and provincial meat inspections.
Right now, federally inspected meat can move across provincial borders. Provincial inspected meat can't. It's the CFIA that is in charge of that. The devil will be in the details on the federal side. But what we are going to be watching for is what do those regulations that follow up the bill look like?
Mallow says simply, standards, rules, and training qualifications in one province should be good enough in any province. He's watching to see if Ottawa and the provinces deliver on their plan for mutual recognition by December of this year.
If all goes well, by December I might finally be able to order a craft beer from the East Coast without needing a friend to smuggle it across provincial lines. And yeah, you've probably figured it out. I'm more of a beer guy than a wine guy. But having that option means something bigger. It means supporting a brewery in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick. It means my money stays in Canada instead of going to some bland, overhyped import from the US. And it's not just about beer. It's about building a stronger, self-sufficient Canada. Whether it's wine, food, clothing, or tech. We have the talent. We just need the access. But while we're dealing with a political tantrum from a baby in the White House, Canadian leaders, federal and provincial, need to pull their heads out of the sand and start working together. Because this right here, this could be a real step toward making Canada less dependent on the US. So what do you think? Are you excited to finally see products from other provinces in your local stores? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear them. If this video gave you something to think about, hit like, hit subscribe, and share it so more Canadians can see what's happening. Thanks for watching, and if you're still here, check out the other videos popping up on your screen now. I'll see you in the next one.